Okay. Good afternoon, folks. Welcome. Pleasure to have you here for some very special guests from South Shore. Yep. Okay. As we expand our topics into some of our friends from the ocean. So it's really nice to see this community that we're building here and this time of coming together, continuing to have diverse friends, partnerships, and voices coming into it. So we deeply appreciate these ladies, whom I'll introduce in a moment. But before we do, this is my moment for a little ad for the Friends of Kauai Wildlife Refuges. So those of you who know us well, sit back, relax, and indulge me in my talk. And for those that are a little bit newer to us, this is my opportunity just to continue to reach out into the community and share the great work that we do. So super quick. You're here at our Princeville Moʻolelo, which is a monthly talk story series that we partner with the Princeville at Hanalei Community Association. They give us this space and we collaborate on marketing. And it's just a really great opportunity to continue to make an investment in the community of Princeville and the North Shore and just hold space for community and learning and togetherness, which is so important in our world and for all the wildlife and other things that we're here to help preserve and protect. So my hat, I have the awesome pleasure of working for Friends of Kauai Wildlife Refuges, which is the established nonprofit friends group that supports our island's 3 national wildlife refuges, including the endangered water birds, or wetland birds of Hanalei and Huleia National Wildlife Refuge. And this is the year that we are in particular really bringing to attention the precarious numbers, sadly, of the Kaloa Maoli and the Aleula, each of whom have only about 700 left in the whole world. And of that, a significant portion of their population is in Hanalei National Wildlife Refuge, which is one of the reasons that as a friends group, we continue to make deeper and deeper investments in the Fish and Wildlife's work in Hanalei, because that is such an important part for the recovery of these species. You'll also, of course, know us through Kilauea Point National Wildlife Refuge. I'm sorry, I'm in your way, aren't I, sir? No, you're which, of course, is home to seabirds, in addition to our beautiful 113-year-old lighthouse. And for those that were able to join us, last Friday was a spectacular National Lighthouse Day. Yeah. We lit that beauty up and it was freshly restored. So boy, she shone brightly. And so it was just another great time to bring our community together. One of the rare times when we're able to be there after hours and as dusk approaches, which is just a magical time at a seabird colony. So anytime you get the opportunity to just hang out at that overlook at the road at dusk, and you're in for a treat. But of course, one better when we light up the lighthouse. So anyway, that is a huge part of our work as well. And the very basis of what we do as a nonprofit partner is answer that call of what do you need and how can you help with our friends at the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And we do that by raising funding, both in donations and general support, in addition to earned income through all of the sales at our nature store. And through that, we provide in-kind staffing support. So that visitor center is staffed by members of my team and has been from its very origins when that was established. In addition to that, coming out into the community, talking story, educating people, inspiring young people, and building a community of folks who are aware of the species and the places that they rely upon. A couple of the pillar programs we're really proud of is partnering with Save Our Shearwaters, amazing, amazing partner organization. And we, as the Friends Group, are able to fund the cost of care for all of the wildlife that's transferred from one of the refuges and into the care for Save Our Shearwaters. And this year that cost is $50,000, and we're able to rise to that challenge and make sure that all of the wildlife in need gets the care they deserve. In addition, like I said, going out and talking story with the community, also educating folks at Kilauea Point, and doing so through some of our keiki games is a really great way to engage a family. Sharing some fun activities with the little ones while we're talking story with the adults, it's a really great way to engage while we're out into the world. But we're also really proud to make investments in free buses for field trips to Kilauea Point. And on the other end of the spectrum, I just have to go back here. So We have a celebrity in our midst here. So I saw her eyes rolling. I had to come back. So I've used this picture for years because I love this picture. And the adorable Michelle is right here, who is an amazing biologist as well as an outreach specialist. So anyway, I had to embarrass you because you rolled your eyes. So you won't do that again. Mental note, don't do that again. Yeah. But investing in the future, the excitement of young people by providing the busing, which is kind of the financial barrier that most schools would have in terms of engaging in the programs. They have the time and the energy, but they don't have the funds. And so we're able to make that commitment and get them bussed out there for these great inspirational moments. And I am sure many of you heard me tell this story before, but it's really great to be engaging with folks in the visitor center, see a local family come in and it's like, oh, so when was the last time you were here? And they say, oh gosh, would you believe it was my field trip on third grade? And we have a little moment there. And I say, first of all, it's been way too long since you've been back. This is our space. It's not just for visitors. But secondly, you can see that little glimmer in the background. These programs really touch people's lives and make an impression at a young age. And from there, all of our work can build. So we're really proud of that. On the other end of the spectrum of education is our scholarship program. And this year, we gave $31,250 away to all of these bright, shiny, happy faces who are, again, the future of wildlife conservation across Hawaii. And we're really proud of that investment as well. The baseline, though, is just, again, answering the call for whatever the refuge needs, whether that's fixing a tractor, buying some supplies, supporting a new program. That's the baseline. They come to our board meetings with a request for funding that is something that's not included in their federal budget. And we've been really honored to be able to say yes, yes, yes this year, thanks to the generosity of our community. And in fact, this year we've given out, just in a litany of different requests, over $180,000 in different programmatic expenses. So super exciting year, thanks to the generosity of our community. One part of that was saying yes to the last little sort of finish needs of this last restoration project of the lighthouse, which we're enjoying now that she's looking bright and shiny and secure for the future. In particular, the lens room at the top was completely rebuilt with new glass. And Fish and Wildlife ran out of money, and we were able to deliver the last $65,000 they needed to help make sure that it got done the right way. And we were really pleased to, again, to support that historic treasure. This year as well, you've got to come out if you haven't seen it yet at Kilauea Point. This mosaic wall is just beyond amazing. It took years in the making and lots of planning and collaboration across the community. And I personally believe it has absolutely exceeded our expectations in terms of what we wanted that to be, really. In this one, you can see the lovely Hob Osterlin took this photo that I borrowed here. She's here today. But you can see the majesty, the sort of the grandeur of this. It's an 80-foot-long mosaic tile installation on the retaining wall as you're walking out. Just you pass the visitor center on the left-hand side on your way out to Kilauea Point. And basically, it tells the relief or the whole story of Papahanaumokuakea, the connection geographically, culturally, and with the protection of wildlife, how these islands are all linked together. And it was just the perfect story to tell in such a long, skinny piece of real estate. And so we actually, this is Kauaʻi over here. That's the panel that depicts Kauaʻi and Niihau. And you can just see the amazing mixture of materials in this. It just, Cat Ho and the Garden Island Arts Council just blew it out of the water and was able to engage a lot of folks in the community. Their love and hard work is embedded in this. And we're just so honored and proud. And it was one more big project we were able to contribute over $100,000 worth of funding towards over the last 2 years. So super proud to have played a role in that. Okay, if you don't already and you're inspired by what we do, again, just sort of raising that call of support for our refuges, please come and visit us out at Kilauea Point, Sharp Our Nature Store, where all of the proceeds go back into our mission. We're always looking for more volunteers, donors, and members. And if you're not on our email list, there's a sign-up sheet in the back, and I'd be happy to have you be a part of our community. And follow us on social media, where you'll continue to see images of the wildlife from our refuges in places that volunteers are able to go and service that the general public is not. So it's a great place to see some of our wildlife. As this series continues, as I said, this is a monthly series. So the next one will be on September 15th with Kauaʻi Endangered Seabird Recovery Project. This is the time of year where we're raising awareness, continue to raise awareness for seabirds and the fallout and how we can all help. And Dilek and her team just does amazing work all year long. And this is one opportunity for them to help make sure we have some volunteers in place that are ready to do some bird surveys and help get those species, those birds out to sea. And so please join us on September 15th right here in the same place and on Zoom. But today, what you really are here for, thank you for indulging me, is to hear from these two amazing ladies, and I as well. I'm very excited to hear more about what we get to learn about today. I'm just going to read off this because I want to make sure and honor them. So we have Dora, yes, let me make sure I'm doing this right, brings over 40 years of expertise in public education as a former teacher and school administrator, in her role as the Education and Outreach Coordinator for Mālama in Honu. Dora designs and leads educational school visits, beach field trips, and community events across the island. Her fieldwork is equally impactful, and she supports the docent team in protecting the basking green sea turtles of Honu from high traffic visitor areas. Bless you all for protecting our beautiful Honu, and serving on the nesting team to implement critical habitat signage and protections. And additionally, Dora directly contributes to ongoing year-round research, tracking basking and nesting behaviors. Much mahalo and welcome. And Dr. Lisa Harrington offers 30 years of experience in public education as a dedicated educator and administrator. She currently trains the next generation of teachers as a professor of the University of Hawaii at Manoa and Fresno Pacific University. Bless you for carrying it forward into the next generation. Within Mālama i Honu, Lisa serves on the board of directors and is the lead researcher for basking Honu and educational coexistence practices. She frequently supports outreach initiatives and serves as a beach docent at Poʻipo Beach, and is globally recognized for her work. She has presented 3 years of standardized data findings to the international sea turtle conservation community, and she actively oversees data collection methodologies to deepen public understanding of local basking phenomena. We love the scientist among us as well, and that was a mouthful. All that to say, we are in the company of some amazing ladies and another member of the team here as well, and part of the Honu community, and we're so excited to learn from you. With that, a warm welcome, ladies.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having us. We are so grateful. Anytime we can get to be in front of people that have just a fondness for nature, for wildlife, for things that really matter to the community, to the islands. It's just a treat for us to be able to do. And anytime we can impart new knowledge, some of you may know a lot of this information, but for some it may be very new information about the work we do with Mālama i Honu, and how something that started very small is starting to branch out, like you said, into the global community of research. Not intentionally in any way, it has really happened organically over the past few years. So for those of you that do not know, Mālama i Honu, which obviously means care for the turtles, was founded on the island of Oahu. 27 years ago now, I believe, because they had this rare instance, which does not happen anywhere else globally, of sea turtles coming out on the beach but not laying eggs and staying for hours at a time. And so there became a problem on one of their beaches, and they started this program, again, organically, arising from a problem in conjunction with the Fish and Wildlife and with NOAA, to try to figure out, like, what do we do? Because now people are coming down and they're sitting on the turtles, and then the turtles are leaving, and now we have turtles nesting all over the place. A lot of it is thanks to the aquarium that has a conservation program, has had it for over 50 years, and they have nests, they have eggs that they put in spots, and they release those hatchlings, and those hatchlings have to have a place that they go back to, and we'll talk about that in a little bit because it's pretty unique to the species, where they go lay their eggs 30 years from the time they hatch. So if they're a female. So thus, Mālama Honu is sprouting and growing on Oahu, and our director, Debbie Herrera, is gaining some traction with other higher agencies to really try to figure out what is all of this really about, because it is not heard of anywhere else. So they do data tracking over on Oahu. It's pretty much, they don't have as many. We are really beyond blessed to have the number of Honu that we have on our beach, because it's quite large at times. But they don't have as many, but they have them all identified. They have their schedules. They have a pattern of behavior of coming up and intentionally hauling out of the water. Not that they're on the beach because they were there and low tide occurred. They're actually coming out from the water to rest on the sand. And that's the difference between what happens in the rest of the world. You'll have countries say, oh yeah, we have turtles that we see on the sand, but those turtles have been left behind by water. And they're either in a stuck mud position, or they're like, hey, this is kind of cool, I'm just gonna stay. And they wait for high tide to come back, and then they go back into the ocean where they belong, actually. Like good little turtles should, sea turtles should be in the ocean. So on this island, probably since it started, erupting and vegetation started coming and sea turtles started going, hey, there's something here. There have been basking sea turtles. We know for a fact that on Koipu Beach, it's been happening for well over a century. However, most people would have never have known because it happened in the middle of the night when there were no people on the beach. So unless you happen to stumble upon it, or you saw a random turtle during the day here or there, nobody would ever have thought a thing about this basking occurrence happening on the beach. Well, during COVID, we weren't allowed on the beach. So there were no vibrations of humans and there were no odors of humans. And it shifted the behavior of the Honu to come out in the daytime in large numbers. So the happenstance, well, it probably is such that those turtles came out, the same turtles would come out at night, but just in maybe a different pattern. You didn't see as many as we saw during COVID. But during COVID, there were about 125 that started showing up and making Koipu Beach, the sand itself, part of their residency on the island. So when the island was opened back, and now we have lots of people on the beach again, so lots of vibrations by our actions and activities and our voices and our odors, the turtles, oddly enough, didn't go anywhere. They felt like, hey, I have a new habit. And sea turtles are very territorial, and sea turtles are very routine oriented. They have a routine that they follow. Maybe they are A-types, I don't know. Or OCD, I don't know. But they do follow a certain type of behavior, and it's very, it can become predictable. So a group of residents were like, hey, we cannot have this because now the turtles are here in the day. What's going on? People are trying to take pictures with their kids on the turtles, and it's, we don't want the turtles not to be here when they're here. So we want wildlife to be wildlife. So they started by trying to rope off Koipu Beach with ropes on the ground, and still a struggle because now, COVID shut it down for a long time. So record numbers of people are coming back to the island. So many people. So eventually the Hawaii Transportation Authority and the mayor's office contacted Mālama Honu on Oahu and solicited help. Can you get a volunteer program here to help with this problem that is now getting bigger and bigger, like a program you have in Oahu? So here we are on now on Kauaʻi, on the south side of Kauaʻi. Well, actually all over Kauaʻi, but the predominant work we do is on Koipu Beach. So with that, of course, there's a mission and a vision of this organization, and we fall under 3 pillars. The first one is education, which Dora and I do a lot of the education programs in the schools. Dora is like, she's the guru of like getting all the stuff with classrooms and working with schools and doing field trips on the beach. People come, and we have people from the mainland that will come and do field trips with their high school groups on the beach. They fly over to do that. I mean, why didn't I get to in high school? That's kind of what I want to know. But they do that. And so we do educational events, and we go into schools, as many as we can. We're trying to get all over the island as much as possible, because it's not just a poipu phenomenon. It happens all over the island. And we know that it does. And people are finding large groups of turtles more and more as they go behind gates they shouldn't be going behind, where the turtles were living in peace. And now there's scads of people where the turtles were living in peace. So it's becoming a bigger thing. So one of the other things we do is outreach. So we do invites like this. We'll do vendor booths at like the marathon we always go to, or we'll do Earth Day at wherever event. Plus we go every week to the Waiahai, Maira at Waiahai on Poipu Beach, and do a talk for them for about an hour, a little talk and Q&A with them and their guests. And then we have been at the Hyatt for a little bit, and then we are now currently working with the Point at Poipu to try to get outreach going with them as well. Because we feel like education is the way to help conserve life of wildlife. Education is the way for many things, but people don't know what they don't know. And so we really feel passionate about helping them learn. And so what we have found in our experience, I think, on the beach, and every docent could probably say this, is that, man, people don't know what they're coming to when they come to Kauai. Like, nobody does their research before they go to these tropical places. So they have no idea when they walk the beach at 10 o'clock at night, they could stumble over a seal or a turtle. They think turtles are just rocks, because that's what they look like at 10 o'clock at night. They look like rock. Well, they look like that in the daytime, but they definitely look like it at night. And seals, that's pretty dangerous if you're stumbling over a seal or you're shining a bright light on a seal. That's a whole nother situation. So the part we can then do, we can bring to the table, if you will, of conservation is through educational outreach on the beach every night from 5 to at least 9 p.m. 5 nights a week, 37 weeks out of the year is what we do. So that's the main contribution, really. People are like, oh, you're the turtle police. Oh, you're there to, protect them. And we're there to care for them for sure. I don't have a badge, and I don't know who's carrying anything. So we don't want to, be rude or not act with aloha on the beach. We do try to teach them, hey, could you please step back from the turtle? It's a 10-foot guideline, but we have all of these cones and signs out here, because if you could only imagine, if there are 20 turtles laying out on the beach and there are 600 people taking pictures of them, that's a lot of vibrations. It's a lot of odor. And those turtles can't see us for who we are. We're blobs to them. Their vision is for the water. They're supposed to be in the water unless they're a female laying eggs. That's how they're designed to live. And now we have this phenomena, which is becoming a way to work with the public to coexist with the wildlife that we are seeing on our shores. So with that, let's see, I'm going right, is that correct? Okay. We're going to talk to you about the green sea turtles first that exist around the world, and then we're going to narrow the focus to Hawaiian greens. But first, we'd love to show you a video about sea turtles in general, just to give some context to everything. With it. And you guys, I'm going to stop.
Marine reptiles are well adapted to a life on the moon. Sea turtles have existed since the time of the dinosaurs. The earliest known marine turtle lived about 120 million years ago. Named Desmatoculus paddlei, it was 6 feet long and had the characteristic features of modern sea turtles, including a carapace or top shell and paddle-like limbs. Today, there are 7 species of sea turtles, with the largest being the leatherback. Growing as long as 8 feet and weighing up to 2,000 pounds, it is larger than known fossils of its prehistoric ancestor, D. paddlei. Sea turtles can lay more than 150 eggs at a time. Called the clutch, these large egg deposits help ensure the survival of sea turtle hatchlings. Once a female lays her eggs, she returns to the sea, leaving her hatchlings to fend for themselves. Fewer than 0.1% of hatchlings survive to adulthood, in part due to numerous predators on the beach. Emerging in large numbers increases the chance that some will survive. A sea turtle's sex is determined by temperature. Unlike most vertebrates, a sea turtle's sex is not determined by sex chromosomes. Instead, the temperature of the nest determines the sex of the hatchlings. When temperatures are warm, at about 88 degrees Fahrenheit, most of the hatchlings will be female. But when temperatures are cooler, less than around 82 degrees Fahrenheit, most of the hatchlings will be male. Sea turtles use Earth's magnetic fields to navigate. Sea turtles have geomagnetic abilities, which serve as an internal GPS. The turtles have particles of magnetite, a magnetic mineral, in their brains. The magnetite likely plays a role in orienting sea turtles to Earth's magnetic poles, similar to a compass. Baby sea turtles imprint on the unique magnetic signature of the beaches where they hatch. This magnetic map can guide them back to the same beaches several years later to lay their own eggs. All 7 sea turtle species are threatened with extinction. Once abundant, sea turtle populations have dramatically declined in the past 2 centuries. Fishing is a major threat to sea turtles as they become caught in fishing nets as bycatch or accidental catch. Illegal harvesting of turtle eggs, trafficking in turtle products, and ocean pollution are also concerns. However, policies have been enacted to reduce bycatch, protect turtle habitats, and prohibit the killing of sea turtles and their eggs. By continuing this kind of intervention, humans can help stop the decline of sea turtles, helping keep these ancient mariners in the world's ocean.
Oops, I think I just broke my clip. Okay, so one of the great things I love about this video itself is that, let's see, should I just keep going? There we go. Yep. I do. Okay. All right. I got the clip. What I love about that video, aside from building context, is that it has some super valuable information that when we tell people on the beach about it, or we do events like this with people who are just visiting, they are just blown away. And the main one is the fact that a sea turtle must imprint on the beach it was born in. It must crawl out of its own nest. Technically, I know we saw them, foresting or foraging or foresting those eggs out. But if the Honu can stay in its own nest till it's ready to hatch, it will imprint as it goes down to the water, activating that magnetite, aligning to the magnetic poles of the earth, giving its GPS coordinates, like it said. So in 30 years, when it has to go lay its eggs, it goes directly back to the beach from where it came. When sea turtles hatch and they go out, they can swim up to 1,200 miles looking for their home, where they will live and be. And that's a long way to go. So they have to know where they're going, because they got to get there, lay those eggs, and get back. So, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Ready? Oh, okay. I'm going to back out of your way.
That's good. So green sea turtles in general, they're, like they said on the film, there's 7 species of sea turtles. We are concentrating on the green sea turtle because that's the one that we see the most here on Kauai. And worldwide, the green sea turtle is a reptile. We all know that they're reptiles. They're cold-blooded, so they do need to do some thermal regulating, warming up. And in general, they live about 80 years, their lifespan. They can swim faster than we can in the water. They can swim up to 22 miles an hour. So if they want to get away from you, they can get away from you. They are typically herbivores. So all that green on the rocks, all that algae, they love to eat the algae. Keep coming. Okay, I'm good. And so they love to eat the algae, and they eat the seagrass in the ocean, the limu. They love to eat that. But their favorite thing is a jellyfish. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. And they will eat an occasional octopus. Some they bask. We call basking when we see them on the land. Like Lisa said, worldwide, what they're doing is they're finding a warm spot in the water, in shallow water, to warm up. But then the ocean tide goes away, and they end up on land. That's not an intentional basking. It's an accidental basking. So they lay there until the tide comes back in, and then they swim back out. Worldwide, they do migrate between hemispheres, and you'll meet lots of people. We meet lots of people on the beach from different parts of the world, and they talk about how, like from Florida, they see the turtles and they migrate down to South America. It happens all the time. From the northern hemisphere to the southern hemisphere, they will migrate. So that's worldwide. We'll talk about what happens in Hawaii, however. They're very, very smart. Turtles are very, very smart. Just because they look like they have this little teeny tiny brain does not mean they're not smart. They've been around longer than dinosaurs, so they obviously know more about what's going on than you and I do. They know how to survive. So they're very, very smart. They can exist in a very turbulent world and still exist. And they're by nature antisocial. They like to swim alone and feed alone and sleep alone. So that's what makes what's happening here really different. So let's talk about what happens in Hawaii. So in Hawaii, first of all, let's go back to the culture. Oops, that's that teacher thing. I want to move, right? So the Honu in Hawaii are very key to the culture here. You'll see them on petroglyphs like this and drawings all the time. But back in ancient culture, the turtle was reserved strictly for the royalty. They were put, and if you've ever been down to Poipu, you'll notice the heiau there with the 4 totems. There's a big pond there. What they used to do is take the turtle from the ocean, put it in the pond, and then when there was a huge celebration, a musical celebration or a sporting event, then the turtle was used for the feast, and it was only for the royalty. It was not for the commoner. It wasn't until the Europeans came to Hawaii that changed, and it became very common to have turtle soup, turtle meat, turtle eggs on a menu. In the late 70s, we outlawed the hunting of the turtle for their meat and their eggs because there were fewer than 300 nesting females all across Hawaii. They almost disappeared on us. So they are right now, they're still under what we call protected or threatened. Their numbers are growing about 5% a year, but we still want to protect those numbers of turtles that we see. Anytime you hear, they're included in Hawaiian chants, they're included in the hula, they talk about the turtle and how they're revered. And the symbol you will see often. It's on my lei. Okay, it's everywhere that you see in Hawaii. So if somebody asks you, and this is the number one question we get, isn't it, Lisa? Mm-hmm. How old's that turtle out there on the beach? If somebody gives you an answer, they're lying. We don't know. We really don't know. Scientists put their ages in categories. So the first one is juvenile. It's from birth to their shell size up to 24 inches is what we call a juvenile. And I'm going to pass this around so that you can see. This is not what they look like when they're born, but this is the size that they are when they're born. They fit into the palm of your hand so that you can measure it on your hand. But this is what they look like when they're born. A green sea turtle looks just like this, okay? So when they're born, they go out into the ocean and we see them never. Okay, they go way out into the ocean and they have to learn to be a turtle first. We don't see juveniles. Then they start about when their shell is about 25 inches or so, they start practicing coming up onto the beach. We see them a lot in Poipu, swimming in the keiki pond. And they're watching the adults and saying, what are the adults doing? Do I need to do that? Do I want to do that? And they're about this size. Okay. This is a subadult. We don't know if it's a boy. We don't know if it's a girl yet. It has this little spiky tail. It has not presented its sex yet because it's not mature enough yet. Okay. So when we say that, it might be up to maybe 25 to 30-ish years old. Okay. And that's what I tell my grandkids. You're not mature enough yet until you're 30. So knock it off. Okay. So be a turtle. So this is what a subadult is. You will see a couple of these up on Poipu. Not many, not as many as the adults, but you will see a couple of the subadults on the beach. Then we have the mature adults. And a mature adult is about 30 years old or older, and their shell grows as they grow, and they continue to grow their entire life. We don't know the exact age of the turtles. We could tell you if it's a boy or a girl when they're an adult, but we don't know their exact age. The only way that we will know is if we're lucky enough to have them when they pass. We do what's called an autopsy. And you cut the humerus bone and you count the rings of marrow like you count the rings of a tree. That's how you know how old a turtle really is, okay? So we know that their average weight when they get to be an adult is about 450 pounds. So you and I cannot pick that turtle up, okay? We're gonna leave that turtle alone. And they don't migrate between hemispheres. They stay within Hawaii. They will swim between the islands, but they will not go anyplace else. We don't know why. We have no idea what makes, I'll probably get my face really big there. So we're not sure. We're not sure if it's the current that keeps them here. We don't know yet. So we're still doing those kinds of research. Yeah. There we go. Nope. Here we go. Okay. Ours will swim about 25 miles an hour, and they're very, very agile in the water. If you've ever gone snorkeling or diving, you can see how agile they are in the water. Ours, however, have learned to bask on land. It's a purposeful thing. They come out of the water on purpose to warm up onto the beach. They don't wait for the tide to go away and they're accidentally there. They do this on purpose. So that's what makes what happens down on Poipu a phenomenon. And all of Hawaii, it's a phenomenon that's happening here when they come up onto land. They do enjoy the seagrass, the limu, and the algae, and they love, love, love here jellyfish. So down on Poipu, we rarely see jellyfish because they eat it all for us, which is an amazing thing. One night, Lisa and I were on duty, and we were standing there late at night doing our count, and we're like, what's going on in the water? It looks like it's bubbling. And like dummies, we went out standing there, and we realized we were standing amongst the jellyfish that were spawning, thousands of them. We're like, oh, okay. And then we realized there were turtles out there eating and eating and eating all these jellyfish. And by the next morning, all the jellyfish were gone and the turtles were up on the beach with filled buckets, just like Thanksgiving, just like we do. So it was really interesting. They had, like, as Lisa said, they don't have really good vision out of the water. They have a great vision in the water, and they don't have great hearing out of the water either. But they do smell us really well. They have a great sense of smell, and they have 2 sets of nostrils, internal and external. So they can smell in the water and they can smell out of the water. So they know when we're there. And they feel vibration in their jaw. So when we have 600 people standing around the cones on Poipu and 1 turtle there, and everybody's asking, where are the turtles? You're all here. They're waiting you out. That's what happens. And they can feel that vibration. They can hear you in the water. When we have lots of people in the keiki pond out there all waiting around, they can hear them in the water. And they're not going to come in until everybody is gone. So they do wait people out. You want to take this back?
Yeah, sure. So as she said earlier, I'm going to scoot up here a little bit. We know that they are male or female by their tail. And the cool thing about the tail is the tail, is that females' tails, this is a female at the top up here, her tail is about 4 to 6 inches long, and it's like a waffle cone, like an ice cream waffle cone. And that's as big as it's going to get. So that's how we can determine females. And they're always shorter typically than their flippers, except for the turtles where sharks have taken their back flippers off. But we can see that. So we know that it's still a female. Males drag their tail behind them about 12 to 18 inches, and they're always past their flippers. So that's how you would know it's a male. Fun fact about the male's tail, their reproductive organ is in that tail, and it's in the back fourth of that tail. So if you looked at the end of their tail and you went in 1/4, that's where their little thing is, for lack of a better word. And if they lose their tail to a shark, they actually won't have a very big, probably a very long life, because one of the only things that they do is they mow the grass at the bottom of the ocean. That's their job. They're to mow the yard for other animals, species to survive, and they're to mate. And so it will be bad for him. So they tuck their tail so that the shark will take the flippers and not their tail while they're swimming. And like she said, they're agile, so they can actually outmaneuver sharks because sharks are so big, they can't turn fast. Turtles can turn very quickly. So that's how we know male versus female. And even when you guys see nests, you can tell like the dots of like the female, and they measure all of that. We'll talk a little bit about nesting, but males, when they crawl up, they leave what looks like tractor tire tracks is what it looks like on a beach. And you can see their tail, where their tail line is dragging up the middle of it. So it's a big difference between the females. All right, so basking, this whole notion of basking phenomena is definitely a Hawaii thing. They do report seeing Honu out other places, but it's, again, not intentional. And the only reason why a sea turtle should be out of the water, like I said earlier, is to lay eggs. So it's a female, because they're the ones laying the eggs. Males have no business being on a beach. Turtles can actually get heat in what they call surface basking. So they rise to the top of the ocean's surface. Their carapace is over on top of the water, exposed to the sun. And the rays and the heat from the sun penetrate that shell, and it disperses into their fat and into their bloodstream. And they hold on to it for prolonged periods of time because they're supposed to be in the water all the time. And they're supposed to be deep in the bottom of the ocean mowing the yard. So and that's where they sleep too. They sleep 4 to 5 hours. And so they need to hold on to that heat. So there's no business. And most of the turtles that we see on Poipu Beach are males, not females. So again, another part of the phenomenon. probably a little over, what would you say, 50% on a given day. The great, we will often see in the fall over 100. It'll be a high 80 to 100 range for a prolonged period of time, and every once in a great while we'll have about 130 plus. They come up on the shore and they look like they're huddled together, and like she said, they're antisocial creatures. So why are they huddled together? Because they don't do that in the ocean. They're non-monogamous, so they're going from partner to partner. There's no huddling going on there, no spooning happening in the ocean. Why are they touching on the land? A couple of things, well, a few things. Safety in numbers, they're in a foreign place. Heat, so they're preserving heat by touching each other. And the bigger one probably is territorial. So when a turtle comes up on the land and they find their resting spot that they like, and sometimes when they're new at it, they'll try different spots each time they come up until they find their spot. And then that is their spot every time they come up.
It's assigned seating, like in a
Exactly. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about the research we're doing, but it does show us that sometimes some of those Honu come up once a week, but others are there 7 days a week. Sometimes they're twice a week, but maybe they're every other week. It just depends on the Honu. And so some of them, it's not a giant space of a beach, so some of them have the same spot. So huddling to us looks like they're going to their spot, and I'm going to lay on my spot as close as I can get, even though you're on my spot. We used to see them nip at each other a lot, bite each other's flippers or attack each other in the face, headbutt, so head to the tail, pushing them forward, trying to get them out and back into the water so they could have their spot. But now they're pretty set on just letting what is, and they'll just come lay, some will lay directly on top of another one, like at a slant. Sometimes they have a flipper over the other one. So it's an odd behavior for an antisocial creature, right? And it only happens on the shore. The largest number on any given day that we see, the concentrated number of turtles is at half an hour before sunset and a half an hour after sunset. So in other words, the act of hauling out is greater in the half an hour before and the half an hour after. There are more turtles later, but the concentration of the parade, we call it the turtle parade, is in that hour of time. And literally they come one after another, after another, after another. The rest of the night or before that, they come one, 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there. It's just kind of more random. So we know that the sunset has something that drives them to the beach at that time. And it's any time of the year that we all know that the sunset changes when it's setting, and it happens the half hour before and the half hour 365 days a year. This one right here, I'll just speak to it because it's on here, is that is Kauaʻi, and Kauaʻi is a male, and Kauaʻi doesn't have that anymore. But Kauaʻi was one of two turtles that had a big presence on Poipu Beach for a while. And Kauaʻi, we wanted to see, because he was there often, still, I don't even know if he is anymore, but was. Yeah. And so a male turtle will either stay around and mate with the females that didn't go lay their eggs that year, or they'll go to the place that they were born, because they have the GPS device as well, and they mate along the way. So all of that's happening. So they had this on him for 2 years, and first year, no, he didn't go anywhere. About a mile in circumference around Poipu area. That's all he went, but he spent most of his time on the shore. He would spend 72 hours out of the water and then go away, and then come back for 72 hours and then go away. Only turtle that we've seen do something like that. It was amazing. And then the next year, Kauaʻi went to Laulau to mate along the way. And then Kauaʻi went wayward a little bit, got lost a little bit, and they found we got his tracker from another spot that he stopped, but he does come back to Poipu Beach off and on now. All right. You want to do the ecosystem? I kind of talked.
So we talked about how they're herbivores and that they do like the seaweed and the seagrass. And if you've ever been to California and you see the seagrass that comes up in big masses and it's all clumped together and nasty, we don't get that in Hawaii because of the sea turtle. They they're the lawnmowers. They take care of all of that for us. They keep algae under control in the ocean for us as well. But they also, they're kind of codependent with other sea marine animals. So, for example, the monk seal. We see turtles on the beach at night, and the monk seal is in the ocean at night hunting. Well, during the day, when the turtle is out there eating that seagrass, that limu, it is stirring up all kinds of little fish and crustaceans and all of that. And then at night, when the monk seal goes to hunt, the monk seal eats all of that. So they depend on each other in our ecosystem. So like I said, they're the ocean's gardeners, and they control all kinds of overgrowth that we don't have to worry about right now, like we see in other parts of the world.
And one of the fun facts, well, I don't know that it was a fun fact, but we've had people go, can I bring it some romaine lettuce?
Oh.
No, don't feed wild animals anywhere on the planet. Don't do it because it changes their habits, and they all have a role in their environment. So for the Honu, if people start feeding the Honu, it will not go to the bottom of the ocean anymore and mow the grass. It'll come to the side of the sand more frequently to be fed, just like the buffalo in Yellowstone are now seeking people out for food because they're being fed from people that are visiting.
One of the reasons that we don't give out plastic grocery bags in the grocery store is because when that plastic gets into the ocean and floats, what does it look like? A jellyfish. So they will eat that plastic, and of course, then they will die from ingesting all that plastic. So we're really, really trying to educate everyone when you come to the beach and you have that little Ziploc bag that you've got food in, take the Ziploc bag back with you and throw it out at home. Not at the beach, throw it out at home, because it will end up in the ocean, and unfortunately our sea life eats that.
Yeah, we would love to get garbage cans with like auto lids, because people put their trash in there and then the chickens come and they rifle through the trash and all that trash goes out right into the bay there, and now that's where all the turtles are. So it becomes we do a lot of trash. There's a lot of garbage that happens. All right,
Laura, we want to get us started.
Sure. So we talked about this GPS, the understanding of the GPS and the magnetic need for them to imprint on their beach that they're born at, so that they go back to that. So here we are over here. I'm going to stand up. Kauaʻi, and then here is the French frigate shoals, and that's known as Laolo also, and that is where 96% of Hawaiian green turtles were born, were the French frigate shoals. So that is where 96% of them will go, either to mate along the way or to lay their eggs. Females lay their eggs every 3 to 5 years, about 600 in a cycle. She carries those in that cycle the whole entire time, and it's being fertilized. She's being fertile. Well, the eggs aren't being fertilized. She's collecting all the semen. It goes into a pocket in her koloka, and it's saved for when she goes to lay her eggs. On the way, she fertilizes those eggs. So all that semen is in all of those eggs. So it's all the different versions of mating that have occurred that help that process out for those Honu. And of course, from Poipu Beach proper, it's 440 miles away to get to Lalo. So they take about a month to get there. So she's got her 600 eggs. She swims for about a month. She lays her eggs every 11 to 14 days, and it's a cycle. So remember I said they're very routine. If she comes out, lays her eggs, and then goes back in the water and comes out 11 days later, she's going to be every 11 days, she's going to go lay more eggs. If she does it on day 14 the first time, she's going to come out every 14 days. She's going to lay her eggs that way. And then it takes about 60 to 70 days for those to hatch, and she's already gone after laying her 5 to 6 clutches of Honu. So they look like little ping pong balls, just like that. Little squishy ping pong balls. Yeah, not as hard as that. They're kind of slimy and funky feeling, but yeah. And that's what a nest looks like. That's about how many are in one nest.
So with the nest, if you look at this one, it's very deceiving. She digs the nest with her back flippers. And if you were to lay flat on the beach and extend your arm, this is the nest down here. That's how deep she digs with her back flippers. And so the reason they're not hard and they have to be kind of rubbery is so that when they hit that nest, they don't break. They will hit the bottom and stay there.
Isn't that, I always find it interesting, like how do those little flippers, even the ones that have been bitten by the shark, dig 2 feet into the ground? And if you looked at a hole that she laid her eggs in, you can see the dirt right here. That's the width of that hole. It's the very back of that tail.
It's about the size of a Home Depot bucket.
Yeah.
It's the size of
And
her nest.
it's the back there. It's like where the scoots are. It's like that big. It's amazing to see. All right. Nesting.
Okay, well, let's talk about the nest and the little hatchlings. Okay, so we've talked about when they're in the nest, they 88 degrees or above, they become female. 83 degrees or below, the majority will be male. But when they're in the nest, I always thought that the one at the top developed first. That's not the case. They have put microphones into nests to find out what's going on. And they have discovered that it's the one in the middle that starts first. And it starts to chirp to the others. I'm ready. Are you ready? Are you ready? Because you know what? We all got to go together. Because I'm not going alone. Because if I go alone, I know what's going to happen. So let's all go together. And it's called predator frenzy. So one little one will poke their head up and be the scout, the brave one, and look around. And we've seen it where they'll be out there for 24 hours, 48 hours, frozen, waiting for everybody to go. And they typically will hatch late at night when no one else is around, no one. And they head for the brightest spot, which are the ocean, the waves, they see the waves. So it's the moon or the stars reflecting on the ocean. And then when this guy said that, when the scout says, go, within a half hour, that entire nest has hit the ocean. 150 little ones, all at the ocean at the same time. If we're lucky, they'll go that way. So unfortunately, we have what's called light disorientation, which we have hotels and condos that have been built behind a beach. And that light might actually bring them the wrong way. We've actually seen down where there's dunes and the moon came up behind the dune and they went up into the dunes. They did not go to the ocean because that was the brightest spot that night. So it's all, we have to watch and we have to worry about the light disorientation of which way they're going to go. We also have to worry about their high traffic areas. This is what a nest will look like. If we find one on Kauai, we may find a stray nest here and there. And so what we do is we put up driftwood. We use all natural materials, and we will mark off the nest so that we don't have people walking back and forth across the same area. The reason you do that, Mama picked that spot for a reason. It has lots of oxygen in the sand for her babies to breathe. The more we walk, the more it gets compacted, less air in the sand, oxygen in the sand for the hatchling. So we want to make sure that we don't get that. Unfortunately, and this is what we're worried about this weekend, large swells, okay? Large swells, tides coming up, that will compact the sand. It will take all the oxygen out of that nest. And so they will not develop any further. Whatever it is, it freezes everything and it stops. We do have, unfortunately, feral cats on the island. We have wild pig. We have ghost crabs. So late at night, probably the #1 predator that they have is the ghost crab. That crab will grab 1 or 2 and off they go. But if they go out in numbers, 90 to 95% will not get pulled off by a predator and they will make it to the ocean.
Remember the mongoose that they brought to Oahu to take care of a rodent problem that didn't take care of the rodent problem? The mongoose on Oahu create a problem for this because of how the hatchlings come out of their nest. So it becomes problematic for them. All right, I'm gonna kind of go back to this just really quick. So there was something here, can't remember. I'll probably remember.
We'll jump in there.
3 a.m. I won't bother you guys at 3 a.m. But you know, so threats. We've talked a lot about, you know, what threats are, just those things that are really out of our control. So obviously, fishing boats. A lot of times we find that they just toss their nets over when they're dumb, or the nets are dropping. Fishermen, if their lines get stuck, they don't take the time to pull the line out of the water. They just cut it, and now it's floating in that water. And flippers are doing this. So when it gets into the line, it's now spooling its own net or line around it, and often cuts off the flippers. It'll dig right into the flippers or around the necks and things like that. We have fibropapillomavirus, unfortunately, which is from polluted water typically. So a form of herpes. We do see like a little downswing on that right now. We're not seeing as much on the turtles that are coming up to the beach, but for a while it was like a lot of the turtles that were coming up were like, wow, you have got a problem. One even had it in its throat, they think, and in its lungs because it was gasping for air. Every so many seconds it would gasp. And oh, I know what it was. So turtles don't have vocal cords. They can't make noise. So the only noise that we hear from them is when they expel air. So that's how we knew there was a problem. And when we think about their vision, we said that the vision is very clear underwater, but not on the water. It's because their eyes are dilated permanently. So they're taking in, that's how the stars they can navigate by the stars, because they can see that where you and I can't see how bright those stars are. So that's why on the water. And that's why no flash photography or white flashlights, white light at all, because it then starts to, it'll temporarily blind them. So if they're on the beach and it temporarily blinds them and they go back in the water, they can't see their predators and they can't find their food source. They really are swimming aimlessly until the purple white spots that we see go away. They have the same thing because they have the same structure. And then over time, those babies that come up a lot and they keep getting the white light, it's just going to keep damaging that over time and over time. So it's very dangerous for them. We use red lights at a certain lumen. And so the red lights, I actually had somebody bring a medical grade red light, the kind that do acne on your face, to look at the turtles. I'm like, that's the wrong kind of red light. Thank you for trying, but that's the wrong kind. But it's a special lumen, and it doesn't hurt them, but it does bother them. They can see it. They actually like orange light. That's their favorite, but they see it. It just doesn't harm them. So we use it as sparingly as possible most of the time to do our research. I think I'm missing like a bunch of, oh, here it goes. The other threat would be, you know, obviously people getting too close, jumping on them, sitting on them, harassing them. The trash that drops off of boats in the ocean, a lot of trash. We have a lot of debris fields out in our ocean, of course. And then when the storms come, they all come ashore. So they're going right through where the turtles eat and forage. And then at the nest, it's people stomping across, even though we try to do a good job. Either that or they do their ATVs on the beach or their trucks on the beach, smashing out all of the oxygen. So that right there on that little monk seal, that cute little monk seal, is a hagfish trap. And that baby got stuck on it, and its snout grew while it was on it. So they had to pry it off, and it has still today the scar and the indentation left, but it'll choke to death a turtle. So those are just kind of the threats that we see occurring. So all of our docents are considered citizen scientists. In fact, anyone who comes to the beach, who helps in anything that we do, we like to consider them citizen scientists too. It's just about being aware and, you know, observing the things that are occurring on the beach. And for us, every one of our docents take nightly data. They're every 30 minutes on their shift, which is from 5 to 9. They go into their phone and there is a form and they fill out the form. We're looking for Air temperature, we're looking for number of Honu on the beach. We're looking for Honu in the bay area that they can see in the water. We're looking for how many people are in the water. We're looking, of course, at the sunset, the time of sunset, and we're at the end of their shift, so that's all qualitative. And at the end of their shift, there are 5 quantitative questions about environment. So were there fishermen with bright lights on? Did that cause the turtles to go away? We get a lot of scoop fishermen in the bay because they go get bait, which I guess is against the law, but they're out there. And then that often tells the turtles, I'm out of here, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna leave. We have concerts in the park. So the vibration, especially from a good bass guitar where I can feel it in my chest, the turtles won't even come up because they can hear it in the water. They hear the vibration in the water, so it takes them longer to come up because they're fighting the sound they're hearing to get to shore. We have lots of birthday parties, we have graduation parties, and every once in a while, somebody will bring fireworks, also illegal, to the beach park and light them off behind the tower, the lifeguard tower, where the turtles are. And I will tell you, nothing will turn a turtle around and make it go as fast as possible as a firework. They literally levitate. We've watched it. They go whoop, 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 and in 30 seconds, wherever they are, they're back in that water. It is very, very quick. So those are observable things that we track. So our citizen science are our docents, and we're so grateful for the work they've done over the last 3 years. We have 3 very consistent years of data. Like, they are so on top of it. We rarely miss days in 1 month. There's some months that never miss a day of data. It's remarkable what they are willing to do and not get paid for it. It's a lot of work. This data right here tells us that less turtles are out when more people are out. So in the day we have less turtles, and as the sunset comes and the people come to take their sunset photos of the turtles, and there's hundreds of people, less turtles will come out, even though they're coming out in larger numbers at that time. It's still less than if less people were there. And then at nighttime, there are a lot of turtles out there sometimes, and there's no people, and they know. So that's kind of because it's a routine, it's habit, that they know that. It's predictable pattern for them. We know that our turtles here in Poipu, it's not true for Oahu. They like warmer weather outside of the ocean. Our turtles are little prissy turtles, and they like Central California coast weather between 75 and 81 degrees. If it is higher than 81 degrees, less turtles. If it is colder than 75 degrees, less turtles. If it is 70 degrees, they go back into the water because the water is 76 to 78 all year long, and they can live in the water 24/7, 365. So in the winter months, we have a lot less turtles because, especially this last winter, oh my gosh, it was so cold on that beach. It was evident there were a lot less turtles, like 1 or 2 a night less. Like that's how many showed up. Or they came and then they all left, and that was what was left at the end of the evening when it dropped. So we see a significant observable difference in that. And this was taken at sunset, but we have pictures in the dark with a good, night mode is the right mode. If your camera, everybody's camera has night mode now, their cell phones do, and you can get all the turtles in a picture. It's quite remarkable to see it, but we've seen them piled on top of each other. We do know that the lunar cycle has a lot to do with it. Because of the box jellyfish situation on the Hawaiian Islands, every 10 days after a full moon event, southwest facing shores get box jellyfish. And Poipu Beach is a southwest facing shore, like the story of the bubbling bay of jellyfish, and turtles rear in the air eating all the jellyfish. It was quite remarkable to watch. But we know that we have more turtles during the lunar cycle when it's 10 days after the full moon. So they eat and then they rest for a while and digest all that food, I guess. This is a newer piece of data that we are tracking. So Lynn right here is like the ID guru. I don't know how she does it. I used to be able to memorize every student in my school, 1,000 students' names. I knew who they were. I could, I got their name, I'm good. I don't know how she does the turtles, but she's she and Dora got these turtles, like it's remarkable. But Lynn has put together this ID book. So if you want to talk to her about it afterwards, we're going to put you on the spot, Lynn. Every turtle in this book is a turtle that is a resident on Poipu Beach. Now you have to understand, we know that there are at least 10,000 turtles out in these waters because 4,000 females, so 30 and older, go to Laulo. They know that because there are scientists out there taking data and counting. So we know that 4,000 are able to lay eggs right now. They're able to nest, which means there's probably around 4,000-ish males. If you were looking at Poipu Beach, the fact that we have more males coming on the beach, you'd probably think there are more males out in the ocean than there are females. But we also don't count all the subadults we never see, nobody ever sees them, and all of the juveniles that nobody ever sees because they're spending the first 10, 12 years of their life learning how to be a turtle. So nobody ever sees them. So we know 8,000 we can probably account for, and there's got to be more than that in the juveniles and in the subadults. So 10,000-ish, and only 133 come up on Poipu Beach, or 137 has been our max, come up on Poipu Beach. And those are the only ones that come, that group of 137, and this is their pattern. So their pattern of unique presence on the beach. We started this in March, and we went out and took photos throughout the day of the turtles that were there. Lynn ID'd them. We put them into our database, and these are telling us that this is the frequency of these turtles. So this turtle P2 during this time came once, during this time came once, during this time came once, tells us that P15 is the most consistent, which means they have a pattern of being here more. And so what we've done from this, which I don't have the printed data on, from this is now we look at the actual pattern itself. How many specific days a week? So take the whole month of April, and what is P15 schedule? P15 comes up 3 times, then goes back 4 times. Comes up 3 times, goes back 4 times. I'm using that as an example. But the data is now telling us, so now we can start to see, oh, why are they huddled? That's why they're huddled. They're converging. Their cycles, their schedules are converging on each other. So it's been really cool. And mind you, this is all by volunteers. I'm not a scientist. I have the title in front of my name, but I'm not a doctor of medicine and I'm not a scientist. I do research, but I'm a doctor of education. And so this has been amazing to be able to talk to our guests about, because we don't think about this in the animal kingdom. There are so many things that our mind, and I'm talking about myself, cannot fathom. Like, we want to fix all their turtle problems. I got to fix it. They can't be here. There's something wrong. You got to get them back in the water. No. They don't need our help. They've been here longer than anything else. They don't need our help. They know their business. They know what they need. They know how to get it. And we just need to back off and let them be and enjoy them. And this is one of the ways presenting data to our guests that come on the beach just becomes mind-blowing, because they're like, this would apply like to any wild animal, right? Yes, it would. They all have their own place in their own environment, in their own ecosystem. And the more we try to fix it for them, we're fixing it like a human being. We're not fixing it like a Honu. We're not fixing it like a monk seal. So they don't, this has been phenomenal data to capture. And I'm so grateful to our team. And right now we're specifically identifying, we put 2 more trackers on 2 more turtles. And unfortunately, we lost the tracker. We don't know what happened to it, but it came off of one of the turtles. We got about 2 weeks worth of data, or a week's worth of data. And then the subadult has the tracker still on. And so we're having all the docents let us know every night, when does that one show up? When does that one show up? When does that one show up? So now we're tracking the one with the tracker to give us more information, and we can grab that turtle's tracker data more frequently to get a greater understanding of where is it. So now we have data that has dots all over it. It tells us where she's foraging, or she or he, because we don't know if they're male or female, is foraging. Where is that turtle going? And we got grants because of this research. We got grants to go do boat research. So now we're taking this research that's telling us when and where we can find them, And we're going out to try to find them and ID them so that we can give that to Lynn and she can go, that one, and that one, those are residents of Poipu Beach. These we've never seen before. So lots of work happening with citizen scientry through Mālama and Honu. We're super excited about it. And of course, one of the main things we talk about is safety, right? Staying back, watching, enjoying what nature is showing you with wildlife, but stay back. You know, the guidance from NOAA is 10 feet from one person, one turtle. We would hope it would be a little bit bigger because turtles are wild and they can injure people. They don't have teeth, they have serrated jaws. And if they whip their jaw around and it's open and our hand is in the way or our foot is in the way, it's gonna saw that down. And if it clamps down, it's gonna take it off. So we have 2 turtles that live in Oahu, residents of Oahu, and they like toads. And they actually chase toads in the water. So not sure if that looks like a seaweed bowl or I don't know what that is, but they do chase toads. So just be aware. If there's no docent, we prefer 30, but we are out there a lot, obviously in the evening. And we have those cones set back for a reason, just because more people, more turtles, more problems. And everybody can see them that way too. If one thing I never thought about as a mom with 4 kids going to the beach all the time was what impact my kids' sand castles or holes they dug burying themselves had on any potential wildlife. Turtles left in a hole, if a little turtle comes and they crawl, they're going to flip over. And so a turtle's anatomy is they have a carapace, they have a spine with ribs, and then they have their lungs, and then all of their other organs are under that. So if they flip over, their organs will crush their lungs. And remember, they can breathe 4 to 5 hours underwater, so they can breathe 4 to 5 hours on land. So they've got 4 to 5 hours for somebody to see that and get it figured out. So we really talk about filling in holes. Same thing with sandcastles. So many people, I haven't figured this phenomenon out, but they put rocks in their sandcastles. And so it makes it sturdy, clearly, right? Must be an engineer in the making, but it makes it sturdy. But when they go to the, they like to rest their head on things and they like to rest the front of them on things. We often find them on the rock walls or on rocks laying on them. If it goes to a sandcastle that's not going to move and it's a little turtle, it can flip over, same thing. So we just want to make sure we're being careful. Flash photography, I talked about that already. No touching. This is a big one for people that have no idea that actually all wild animals carry diseases. They all do. It's a defense mechanism. And turtles are no different. They have fibropapillomavirus, which is herpes. And even though it's turtle to turtle, they think we all went through a virus that transcended animals as well. So I suggest that a virus is a virus is a virus, and we could get the virus. Salmonella, and they have microorganisms on their carapace and their flippers that if we touch it, it can burrow into our pores. And if you touch a wet orifice, it can come out in the wet orifice and make you really sick. And a doctor is not going to know what to do until we say, oh, we touched a turtle in Hawaii. And then that's a whole nother problem for the doctor. But they can give them medicine. So, yeah, no feeding. Obviously, we talked a little bit about that. And ways to help. So we always ask people, ways to help. We're just like you guys, we're always under the fundraising gun. Try to do a lot of things through grants. That's not always, you have to earmark those dollars for a certain reason. But we have, we brought with us actually adoption certificates. We have people adopt certain turtles on the beach. It's kind of fun. We don't have a way to track them yet, but as these trackers, as we get funds for trackers, that might be a way to start tracking some of the adopted turtles. But we also have stickers, really cute little stickers to put on water bottles or things like that. So, and
My favorite.
And she's going to share this one with you because this is
our local celebrity. He is on the beach most nights.
Yep.
He is P12. His Hawaiian name is Ke'eoloko, which means inspiration. If you look at him, he is missing his front right flipper. He lost his flipper 5 years ago to a tiger shark, but he is doing great. He's doubled in size since we saw him in the beginning, but he comes up almost every night. He comes up onto the beach, and then the grown-ups surround him and take care of him through the night. So his secret name, his secret docent name is Tiny Tim. So he's one of my
And we
favorites.
don't know if it's really Tim or Tina yet.
We don't know, yes,
Because
but
It doesn't have its tail, but affectionately known as Tiny Tim. Any questions? Do you guys, we've given you a lot of information. Yes.
Talk about IDs. How do you ID them?
Oh. Yeah. So the question was, how do you ID them? Lynn, you want to share how they're ID'd? Nice and loud, Lynn.
Yeah. So every turtle has a tail pattern on the sides of their face. Every turtle has a different, they're like fingerprints. So no two turtles are alike. So we will make photos, and we'll have the photos of the left side of the face, the right side of the face. We use the body sometimes, but the faces are no two turtles will ever have the same face. And oh no.
Oh, I thought I took those out. I'm so sorry. She's always adding to the book, but I got to get another book to add to the book.
Can you go get those?
Well, our cameras, amazingly enough, don't have to be the zoom.
We aren't allowed to go any closer than everybody else.
Yep.
So take photos with Zoom.
I can be on the berm, and with my with my lens on my camera, I can get their photo pretty good.
So once we get all their, and then we go through, I go look a lot of turtles. Some I know by seeing them. I know who you are. Others I don't always, and I've got to like look through our book, figure out who's who, and yeah.
And if she sees one enough,
Yes.
then it becomes a resident turtle.
Yeah.
Sometimes they come through. Remember, they don't leave the archipelago, but they'll swim on their way to Laulo, or they'll just tootle around, or maybe they're finding their new home and now they're trying at different places. And they saw one of them go up on the sand, so hey, I'm going to try that for a while. But once she figures out that they've been here for a while, then they become part of the ID book.
And then they do get microchips. So like dogs and cats have microchips for permanent identification. They do microchip the turtles. And so there are times where we will go out and scan them, not us, but when our higher ups come and they're associated with NOAA and U.S. Fish and Wildlife, they will scan the turtles. I will look at their faces, we'll take pictures, we'll put them all together, and then I can put in books. And now we know some of these turtles, what their microchip numbers are, we measure them, and so we put it all together and collect more and more and more data. That's how. Right.
Yes.
When I go swimming at tunnels, there's turtles. And a lot of them have all this mossy stuff in the back of their shell. Why is that? Does it go away? Or?
It's a great question. So the question is, why do the turtles have the mossy green look to them on the back of their carapace, their shell? And the answer has to do, that's algae. And they haven't gone to the car wash lately. So there are fish in the ocean. Their job is to clean the algae off the turtles. And it's the yellow tangers. And there is a blackfish, and I don't know the name of it, but it has like an orange tipped tail, I believe. And oftentimes, I know the ones at Anini, you can see them because there's a car wash out there. There's a turtle wash out there. They're on the backs of the Honu, and they're eating that off. And for us, we don't see that a lot because the turtles are exposed to air. They're coming out of the water and they're getting sunshine, and the algae doesn't continue to grow. It starts to fall off. And then, but it's because they're not getting eaten off of.
What you're seeing is a turtle that doesn't land bask, doesn't come up for the sun to dry that off of their shell. They stay in the water, and they haven't been to a place where the fish are going to start eating that off their shell.
Well, that must mean that there's less of those fish out at the reef.
Could be.
Could be.
Could be.
Because it was I've lived here 40 years, and it wasn't that way before.
There's less cleaning areas too. So we know that there was a cleaning station near Hawaii, near the beach house, and a storm wiped out some environment for those particular fish, and now it's gone. So those turtles have to go somewhere else to find it if they do at all, or fish have to come back. Yeah. Yeah.
And not all the turtles from around the island. We have like
Their residence areas. Yeah.
We call it
Site fidelity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the North Shore Hawaiians I mean, I don't know if they're still doing this, but I know this for a fact, they were eating turtles a lot. And they would make combs and things out of shell.
Yep.
You know, sell, go to a Wagyu and sell them. And, you know, so there's
Yeah.
not that many left, you know.
So Hawaii is the only place where they're not endangered. We are so there are 7 species of Honu, and Hawaiians are the subspecies of the green. And Hawaii is the only place that doesn't have endangered Honu because their numbers are coming back at 3% a year, growing 3% a year. That's from, I think Fish and Wildlife has that data. They say it's one of the, yeah, I've actually had them. I was in Borneo and that's what they serve. And it does, it's very rich in nutrients and vitamins and minerals. It's a very hearty meat. So, and I'm sure there are people that, even though in 1973, the Endangered Species Act said no more, no more, I'm sure there's people that are still doing it. That's human nature, right? We gotta, and people are feeding their families with it, you know, hopefully that's the intended purpose if they're breaking the law, but who knows? Yes.
So the turtles we're talking about, the white zombie, and they're all the green turtles, or they're a mixture?
So they're going to be predominantly the green, Hawaiian greens. Kauaʻi has Hawaiian greens predominantly. We do have sightings of hawksbills. I don't know if any of the Ridleys are here. We have leatherbacks.
Any other kinds that go on?
None. Only greens.
And is there a time, is there a season or weather or whatever, where you're more likely to see a lot of turtles in Kauaʻi than other times?
The fall. Yeah, they've come back from nesting. So all the females are back. They've gone, they're back. And it has to do with weather. There's a weather current component to that. So yeah, the fall is when we see the most. But they're there we'll guarantee you one at least every night. We can guarantee that.
I've lived here over 30 years. I stumbled across white turtles 2 years ago. Never heard about it.
Yeah, it was at night. So before COVID, it only happened at night, really.
So this is a relatively good thing.
It is.
They were out in large numbers at night.
But for
Yeah.
the viewing where
Yes,
there were
since COVID.
people watching,
Since COVID.
that's relative.
Need to be changing their schedule slightly.
Yep.
Again.
Yep.
More recently. But some of them are coming in.
Yep.
That seems to have changed.
Yeah, it was probably due to we had such a bad November to May. There's a lot of, so Poipu doesn't get a lot of rain like this side does. There was a lot of rain in Poipu this year. Very cold wind, just really cold wind in Poipu. And that's, yeah. Yep, and warmer at night in the water.
Temperature affects it. We also have found that if there is some kind of geological occurrence in the Pacific, for example, an earthquake, that affects the numbers on the beach as well, because any kind of vibration that they are not comfortable with, they think it's not safe. I'm not hauling out. I will stay where I know it's safe.
Going back to my house.
Yeah, so anything like that, our numbers drop again.
Yeah. The night before the tsunami, we had no turtles. We were on the beach. We had no turtles, and it was almost like 8:30. We're like, where are all the turtles? Like, what's happening? There was nothing. And all of a sudden, we thought, man, I think they're telling us a story. There's something happening somewhere. We just don't know what it is. And they came out, and 9 of them came out all at one time, which does not happen, in like a victory formation. There was this big V going on to the beach, and we're like, what is happening here? It was really weird. And then of course there was the Russian earthquake, and the tsunami was the next day. So they can feel all of that. And Kilauea has been continuously erupting every month. So the bigger the earthquakes there, I mean, all of that, they feel all of it. They hear all of that underwater. So it definitely plays a part in their behavior. But they still come up. every day. Yeah.
Are you able to share any information about this?
Well, I mean, we can talk about what we know. So the question is, can we talk about the tumors that we see on it? We know that it's fibropapillomavirus, so it's a form of herpes. And we know that it's predominantly occurs in polluted waters. So where the water is more polluted, you'll see evidence of more fibrous tumors on the turtles.
They like to swim in the mouth of a stream. So
Yeah.
a lot of our streams are very polluted, and especially after a rain, it brings down the fertilizer from the farms. And we still have very old neighborhoods with cesspools. So it brings that bacteria down. And all of that super feeds the limu that they eat. And then that causes the herpes tumors.
Yep. It is. It is, yes.
If they're basking in the sun, do they have, people get sunburned? Do they get sunburned? Do they get,
No. It's a great question. I will say no. I mean, they bask in the water too, so they'll rise to the surface to get the sun as well, to get heat stored up. But no, they have a protective coating. So that shell is your fingernails and toenails don't ever get sunburned. The rest of your skin does, but your fingers and toenails don't, because it's keratin, and that's what their shell is made out of. So it's a giant toenail, essentially. And it regenerates. So if they get hit by a boat, we see a lot that come in with a boat strike. So they have a big hole in their carapace, or it's been opened, or a shark has done some damage. If you give it several months, if the vet says, oh, we're just going to keep an eye on it, and you give it several months, you'll start to see gray, what looks like cement slabs growing on it. And it's the keratin regrowing, and it'll turn it back to the original color of the Honu over time. Yeah. So we have a lot that have boat strikes, especially during whale season. We see more because there are more tours happening during whale season than the rest of the year.
Yeah. Yeah,
they do.
They are so well camouflaged that from looking down at them in the water, this looks like a rock. So you don't know that a turtle is underneath you. If you are swimming underneath them, it looks like the sun shining on the water. So they are very camouflaged from above and below them. So yeah, boats don't see them, unfortunately.
It's amazing how.
Yeah.
We've had some with
Yeah.
some big holes that over time, they're like, where is that scar? It hasn't been a year or two.
Yeah.
And if you do see an injured turtle, that's the hotline to call, because we do have folks on the island that will come and do the rescue of them, that will cut off the fishing line. They will bring someone down to give them antibiotics, all of that. So we do have people on the island that will take care of the turtles as well.
And if you you see harassment, so people not getting too close, but kicking, throwing things, disturbing the Honu a lot, there's a DLNR tip app that you can download on your phone in the store, your either Google Store or Apple Store, and our Apple Play, and you can just go right on there. And I'll tell you what, when I use that tip app, they come running. When I call, depends on who gets the phone call, but whoever's responding to that tip app, they get it going. Like they'll send doe care officers down, or they'll send the police down. They'll do something. So that's the nice thing about the app itself. But it's just the DLNR app, and it was gone for a while, and now it has returned. So yeah, it works again. Yeah, and if you can grab pictures of the event happening, just be stealth. Don't engage with people. We just want to continue to show aloha, even to knotheads, or as they're calling people in Yellowstone, Turons. I don't know why, but that's what they're calling them. You know what it is. Yeah, they call them Turons. Tip app is anonymous, and but if you can get visuals of it, they can look social media and find people on social media and pay them a visit, send them a ticket, or things like that. So they can do all kinds of things, like the FBI. Any other questions?
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
you're very welcome.
Rob, we'll see you next month.
All over having it.
Pleasure. Thank you.
I don't know.
If I could get one quick photo of you here for like a thumbnail, and then I'll let you tell a story.
I